Billy Harris plays Colin Hughes in the Emmy Award-winning comedy series Ted Lasso. I'm Matt Noble, and I wanted to kick things off by asking you, Billy, where do you have the most fun on Ted Lasso?
So I have the most fun. I mean, I would say on the football pitch, although sometimes we do these football weeks, they are grueling, they're cold, but as a actor who also loved football and growing up with football, I'm standing there, on the pitch in my football boots, drinking a flat white, so I have to stop and kick myself because if I ever complain or think it's too cold, I'm like, I'm living both of my dreams here, Billy. Come on, get out of it and yeah, get back on the football pitch.
Yeah. Like how much of a football fan were you before Ted Lasso, and how has that like impacted your appreciation of the game?
Oh, huge. I think that my whole life. So, obviously, as an actor, you have to do your research. As soon as you get, that's one of the most interesting things about acting is why I got into it, just to the art of, investigating a part. But for me, I do like to think I know a lot about football. So this really wasn't tough. Obviously, I don't know what it's like to be a footballer playing 90 minutes, but I can sympathize with them. And I tried my best to become a professional footballer when I was younger. But just the kind of the history of the game, I do know quite a lot. So it was just easy for me.
And I guess, what about being part of this series since the very first season? Being part of Ted Lasso is special to you about this show?
Well, yeah, I think that when I joined, it was my first TV job, and I think that it really has given me such a big foundation for the future. But more importantly, is that I came on the show not really expecting much out of my character or anything. I didn't even necessarily think about that at the beginning. All I wanted to do was just to learn the ropes off of these amazing actors that I was going to be working with every day, and knowing that I was going to be part of the football team meant I was going to be there at least all of season one. And but then what I loved and what I saw, throughout was seeing the scripts and seeing the way that it was written, seeing the mission that the writers were on. And then, of course, I was a huge fan after filming season one. And then what was amazing was to see that the whole world was almost started to become a fan as much as I was, and just to give this to the world, that was great. So I think for me, yeah, just I really didn't have any expectations. I had a lot of expectations for the show, but not for me as an actor in it. But then obviously, as you've seen over the series and episode series 1, 2, and 3, that yeah, it's been a bit of a big one for me this season.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say, because Ted Lasso is about a football team. There's 11 players on the football team.
Mm.
And plus, people reserve and bench and the bench and all that sort of stuff interchange. So, like, we got like a picture that got sent through for press for season
Yeah,
one, and you're like,
yeah,
you're back
I'm
there
there.
somewhere. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah, I'm in the
you're
middle. Yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
in
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, right under my
just,
finger there.
just happy to be there.
Yeah, yeah, of course. But this season you've had your own storyline. It's expanded. Like, firstly, when you understood you were going to be playing a bigger role in season three, how did you respond, and how has that shifted how you've approached your place on the show, having more scenes, material, and stuff like that?
Yeah, I think that well, I'm an actor first going into the show. Of course, as I said, loved football, but yeah, I started to really get invested in my character in season one. And of course, there's nothing more that an actor wants is to kind of make the part that they're playing a little bit more well-rounded. So once in season two, once I started seeing that, Colin was going to therapy, and that there was the line about Grinder, of course, my actor investigatory brain sees that and goes, okay, there's something more here. We need to find out more about Colin, what's going on with him. And of course, my care and almost like a duty that I felt like I had to him, as you said, because there's 11 players in the team, there's a lot of personalities. But I always found that he was a little bit quiet, and I wondered why. So, and then that was something that I found out in season two. then we weren't going to touch on it in season 3. And yeah, that's the main thing I think all an actor wants, and it's a dream, just to finally tune and finally polish and get down to the nitty-gritty as to who your character really is. And luckily in season 3 I managed to do that with Colin.
Yeah. Like, how did it speak to you, this storyline for Colin this season, in terms of sort of ideas about mental health and masculinity in maybe this sporting world and sporting environment?
Yeah, as I said before, is that I feel like I know a lot about football. I love sport, but there's one thing that I don't know, and it's what it's like for when an athlete works their socks off and then gets hate on social media, and then not being able to be their true selves. And I think that that's one thing, is that when I was doing Colin's storyline, there was nothing but support on set for it, and it was like, this is a storyline we need to do. But then I think that the majority of the sporting world, I think that the majority would be supportive of it, but then there's that select few that would have an issue with someone coming out as gay and being a gay footballer. And I can sympathize. I just think that being on this journey with Colin has made me have even more respect for athletes out there.
And he had this great line in the most recent episode, or one of the last episodes. I don't know when this is gonna publish. There'll probably be a new Ted Lasso episode out by then. But where he says, to the captain, it's not that I didn't think I'd get your support. It was that 1% doubt that sort of, yeah. So do you want to talk about
I mean,
that?
I think that that's and that's something that I've seen, and that has spoken to so many people online, because it's not necessarily just that what Colin says, and is that I was 99% sure you support me, but that 1% scared me. And I think that a lot of people have said, well, I've seen it, that they've said that they had similar conversations with their friends, and it was just the fear and the not knowing. And and what I've loved is that I've seen on social media that people have said that I had that exact conversation with my best friend, and it was just fear. So I think that as in a sports sense, this is important, but as a global sense as well, that this is a storyline that's been reaching out to people that aren't necessarily lovers of sport or fans of sport. And that's the thing about Ted Lasso, is you don't necessarily need to be watching it just for the football.
And I guess, what have you learned, and how have you grown in playing this character, playing Colin?
I think for me, I think being in the show as a whole has taught me. I think that you're on that set and you're surrounded by just people that really want to make a difference, and the writers, as I said, have a mission, and everyone is so invested in their characters, and there's such a love for each and everyone's characters. And when I read the script, I get genuinely excited about what's happening in Sam's life and what's happening in Rebecca's life, and of course for me, it's just nothing but a love for Colin, and just for people to live the lives that they want to live. And I think that that's what the show on Ted Lasso is trying to do. And just an awareness for therapy. I mean, Colin Hughes went to therapy before I did, but it's now I'm going to therapy, and I've learned so much from him. So yeah, I think that.
Yeah. And I think something else that's been really lovely about this season for Colin are the scenes you've had with James Lance, who plays Trent Krim on the show. Do you want to talk about those scenes and how you guys collaborate and serve each other in those moments?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the thing, is that with the script on Ted Lasso, sometimes we don't get it until like a week in advance. So of course, there was the scene where Trent sees me and Colin and Michael kissing, and then I had a bit of a couple of weeks wait to even think about what or how Trent is going to go about this. I didn't know. And I think that's one great thing about being on the Ted Lasso set, is you're really alive, and you're kind of living with the character as well, is that you don't know what's coming next. So you have to really be on your toes. And yeah, I kind of sat there after seeing that, reading the script, and thinking about, all the ways that Trent could he out Colin? Could he tell Ted? Could he tell the team? I had all of these thoughts in my head, but the most important one, and I think that this is what's great, is that he didn't, and he became an ally for Colin and just a friend. And that was one of the best journeys for me and Jimmy, because that's what we wanted, and that was the way we wanted to go about this storyline, because I think that's really important that got told, that storyline.
Mm. Do you have what was the biggest challenge for you? What scene was maybe the most challenging scene for you to have to approach this season?
I think, do you know what? A lot of because obviously I knew being, in the locker room, there's a lot of what you see is that Colin is not really saying much, but the camera's on him, and the audience is with him. So one of my things was that I need to let the audience know, and my eyes and my thoughts to show it, but then the guys in the locker room can't, because Colin is basically hiding his true self. So having to figure out ways I would go about that. I focused a lot on like breath and breathing in and out, because I think you can tell a lot about where someone's breath is placed. You can hear someone coming in and they go like that, and then you immediately know their mood. So I think that was one of the things that I knew that the camera and the audience at that time would know, but then the players wouldn't. So it was just the thing is, I wanted to get it 100% accurate, but it's hard without words, but Colin is hiding. So it's like, okay, I've got to do a bit of eye acting here, which is fun and interesting, but yeah, a bit of a challenge.
Yeah, and I guess making like these slight adjustments because there's a greater focus on Colin now for the audience, and there's a storyline going on there, but at the same time, this is something Colin was struggling with before the audience even knew about it. So you couldn't make too drastic changes because
Yeah. I mean, I think that was it. Is that and that was something that we spoke about. Is that the moment I knew, and the moment the grinder line and everything was said, is that nothing changes, because Colin is almost like an expert in hiding, and which is that's the heartbreaking thing, is that the audience have been with him since season 1. I've been with him, but this is a secret that he hasn't been telling everyone, and now it's amazing. I feel like you're going to start to see going forward, the real Colin, I hope.
It's sort of like a bit ironic that Colin's an expert at hiding. You're someone who's got to play that, but at the same time, like often, like an actor's revealing the truth and trying to find things and have people see stuff.
Yeah, and I think it was like the scene with me and Collar where Isaac grabs his phone. There's it's like a standoff, and there was no words. There was no words in the script. So of course, me and Collar, luckily I'm friends with him in real life, so that's like it's a look, and there's looks I've seen, and we could do it, but that was that was hard, because you had to have so much going on in a scene that had no lines. And yeah, I think it was a real fun challenge for me, I think.
How do you sort of switch gears? Like, you've got scenes that are very heavy and very emotional, but also you've got scenes where your penises are tied together with strings and you're running around the sports field. How do you switch gears, or do you not need to switch gears? Like, how does that work when you're dealing with scenes with such different tones in an episode?
Well, yeah, I've always thought that, with Ted Lasso, I mean, and I'm as a viewer as well, you can be laughing in one scene and then crying in the next, and I think that is maybe subliminally we as the actors got into that from season 1, and I think that probably season 1, season 2, and a couple times this season, is that I love lending Colin and myself to the comedy lines. I really like it. I think there's nothing better than being on that set and the writer's giving you the punchline of the scene, and that's really great. So I think that although that there's the excitement to do the drama side, you're on Ted Lasso, you always want to make people laugh, and there is always that competitiveness on set to do that, and to want to get like, yeah, I've got the punchline in this scene, and that's great. Of course, I always want that from those writers.
What do you think Colin's funniest moment is?
I mean, I just love, because it started from in season one, he put these Lamborghini keys in the fire, and then it started from there that Colin has a car, and then but he's not good at driving the car, and I think that it's like he's got all the gear, no idea. He's got all this money, and he buys all these flashy cars and all these flashy things, and yeah, he's just not a good driver. So I think that's something that I don't know where it came from, but it's just stemmed into this thing. And I feel like if the show was just to continue, every single series you would have a scene with Colin in a new car, and he's just going to ruin it. It's a Lamborghini, it's a Ferrari next time, it's a Bugatti. It's just I love how that's just kind of flourished out of nowhere.
Hmm. Do you have a favorite, like more broadly, what do you think the funniest moment on Ted Lasso has been in the 3 seasons?
I mean, I loved Zava, the entrance of Zava, and just the breathing thing. And I just, you can immediately, as a soccer player, even as a sports player, you just know that those guys exist. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but you're just like, they nailed it with him, and the casting of Max was fantastic. So it was so nice to bring him in. And yeah, I just think that we, as soon as there's a new character on set, it's when Sarah Niles came in as Sharon, and yeah, like it's just one of excitement, because because we all work together so closely as a cast from season one. It's so nice to bring someone in and seeing how they work, and it's as much as I love all of the cast, it's nice to get those new characters in as well.
Yeah. Now, like the show is about like the team, and the Ted Lasso way so much about community and sort of supportive community environment. How is that reflected being part of the cast on the show? Those ideas of community and collaboration.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you see that we always, we're pretty much hanging out quite a lot, especially when we were working. We were always going to football games, and I think that we did, instill that on set. And as I said to you before, if you're doing a show like Ted Lasso, you can't go cut and then be not nice on set, to be honest. It doesn't work. It doesn't really mix. So I think that was one thing that really was nice, is that the atmosphere on set, and as you said, that, yeah, the sense of community was great. And now what you see in Richmond, down in London, is that you see that these tours are going on, and people are doing AFC Richmond tours, and they're going to the pub and everything like that, and it feels like, I don't know what we've done, but it feels like we've done something. And I don't know, who knows, maybe one day there'll be like a Lasso World or something like that, and we can go have a real life locker room for people to play in.
There's no Zavas on the set, is what I'm hearing.
There's no Zavas. No. I think that, yeah, there is. That's a good way of putting it. No Zavas.
Yeah. And just looking back on the 3 seasons, which we don't know if it's the end, but we have been told it sort of rounds out a sort of 3-season story arc for the show. What do you think is the most sort of, like, what do you look on back the most fondly of that 3-year experience of making Ted Lasso?
I mean, the friendships I've gained, the experience that I've gained, as I said to you, I really did not know what to expect from this show, and it has genuinely changed my life, I would say that. And that's been in terms of acting and on a personal note as well. And I think that what I really, really rate from the writers is that they saw something in me in season 1, and then that continued into season 3, when there was so many characters that they've already developed, and they knew that they had to do this storyline, and the way that they did it, the way that we did it together, I think was just one of such respect and one of such love. So yeah, I really, really will forever respect them for that.
Well, Billy, all the best of luck with the upcoming Emmy Awards for Ted Lasso. People watching this interview, you can go to goldderby.com to follow our awards coverage. And Billy, just thanks so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No worries.